Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable David Parker.
Mr. Speaker, there's a rumour going around Auckland that the seat that the National Party are going to throw to Colin Craig is North Shore. North Shore. Yeah, right. Well, we'll see. That's the rumour. That's the rumour. They don't want to protect you, Maggie. Colin Craig's coming for your seat, they say. Mr. Speaker, Devonport have had enough of Maggie, and it's going to go to Colin Craig. Well, time will tell. That's another example. That's another example of how the National Party manipulate things for the benefit of the few. They're manipulating MMP. They're manipulating MMP for their own benefits, and also we see them manipulating the way the New Zealand economy is run for the 2 or 3% at the top of society. And that's going to be the essential issue at this next election. Do voters want to continue with the National Party and see the rewards going disproportionately to the top 2 or 3% at the top, or do they want to have a Labour Party under which everyone will get their fair share? Everyone will be expected to do their share of the work, but everyone will get their fair share of the rewards under a Labour government. Now, under National and under the policies that they have pursued, this is clearly not the case. The list is such a long one, it proves the point, and people know it. We had them doing the special deal for Sky City. We had the special deal for Rio Tinto down the smelter, where they bailed out $30 million and didn't even get a jobs guarantee. Why did they do that? They did that in order to sell the SOEs, the power companies that used to be owned by all New Zealanders, to less than 2% of the population, and in the process privatise the value of New Zealand's rivers that drive all our cheap hydro, but we pay ever-increasing amounts for, because they've privatised them to less than 2% of New Zealand and some overseas shareholders. What else have they done? Well, crony capitalism doesn't come any clearer than it has this week with what's been going down with the National Party and Judith Collins and Orovita. $56,000 of donations to the National Party. Judith Collins' husband being appointed a director, off to China, promoting while you're a minister.
Order. Please, sir. Now, we've had an urgent debate on this matter. This is the budget debate, policy statement debate, and we're not going to regress back into a subject which we've dealt with. Member can't...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Well, all right, I'll hear the point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't notice when you came to the chair, but I was listening to Maggie Barry, and Sir, well, I do occasionally, but I was listening to Maggie Barry, who devoted a large proportion of her speech to the matter of trusts and where money came from, sir. That was also a matter that was transgressed in the previous debate, and, sir, for you to rule that money which we are currently allocating as part of a process for the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet to give Cabinet advice to the Prime Minister cannot be, whether or not that can be debated or not, as part of this policy statement, would be a very radical decision, sir. So my view is that we are debating the process, which includes the money for the Prime Minister's advice, and therefore we should be able to refer to the quality of that advice and what the Prime Minister does with it.
Yeah, no, I don't need any assistance. Well, I can just assure the member I have been paying attention to the entire proceedings of this afternoon, and of course any comparative situations can be made if they're pertinent to the current debate. What I'm saying is we're not going to transgress back or shift back into material generally around a subject which we have debated, so it needs to be pertinent. Right? David Parker.
Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, under this government we have an economy run for the top 2 or 3%. We have crony capitalism that is rife, and I've instanced a number of examples which overwhelmingly prove the case. Now, if you want more proof, what about housing? Decreasing rates of home ownership because a few people own a lot of them and fewer young people can afford to buy one. So that's another example of how this government is running the economy in the interest of the few at the expense of the many. And under Labor, it will be different. We've got a housing plan that will substantially change that. why won't the National Party, in the face of rampant house price inflation, tax capital gains like just about everywhere else does in the world, excluding the owner-occupied home? Because they're protecting the top 2 or 3% that they so plainly act for, who own multiple houses. So while the top 2 or 3% do disproportionately well, we've got flatlining wages for most workers. The government comes along and uses an average. What that average hides is the fact that most of the gains are going to the people at the top. Indeed, if you look at the amount that's paid differently year to year for 1 hour of work, it didn't go up any more than the rate of inflation. It went up 1.6% for that same hour work 1 year compared with the next when we had inflation at 1.6%. You look at power prices, having privatised these SOEs, having transferred what was previously owned by all New Zealanders to that small section of New Zealanders, we've got power price increases and we've got the rewards of cheap generation from our hydro rivers being captured by the 3% who have bought shares. We've got rents going up, we've got widening gaps between the rich and the poor, we've got increasing rates of child poverty, and the government hasn't got a plan to change that. Well, in the Labour Party, we have. It's a very significant plan that will bring about a fair economy that works for everyone. David Cunliffe has already spoken for it. It will improve the amount of capital that we've got to invest in our businesses by having a compulsory KiwiSaver scheme, so that there is more money saved in the New Zealand economy and we are less reliant on imported capital. That doesn't suit the National Party. Their end of town actually quite suited by more imported capital coming in. They like the concentration of wealth that happens from year to year in New Zealand. We don't. We want to save more in New Zealand. It was us that created KiwiSaver in the Labour Party, with the support of Winston Peters and others, with the support of the Greens, I hope, Mr. Speaker, and with the opposition of the National Party. The opposition of the National Party, Mr. Speaker. So in addition to building more capital, growing New Zealand's savings through a universal KiwiSaver, we're going to make sure it's spent in the right part, not in the speculative part of the economy where Nationals' cronies hang out, not in the area where disproportionately the top 2 or 3% who own multiple houses hang out, or own big farms like David Bennett, who's interjecting on me but doesn't want to pay capital gains tax. No, National Party won't bring about a capital gains tax because it doesn't suit their members nor the interest groups that back them. Nevertheless, we will, because we know that that will direct capital into the higher incomes and jobs that we need as a country in order to lift productivity and lift the wages and salaries of those people that work there. Mr. Speaker, this means that we need to invest more in the further processing, for example, of our forestry exports. Why is it that we're sending so many logs offshore unprocessed? And the answer in large part lies because of the poor government policy. Who suffers in respect of that? New Zealanders that don't have well-paid jobs working in the forest processing industry. Who benefits from the current settings? The small proportion of wealthy New Zealanders, particularly the overseas corporates that now own our forests, who are sending those logs off overseas. Who also benefits from these settings, sir, are the likes of Aurovita. Now, Aurovita, Mr. Speaker, and you don't like me talking about this, Mr. Speaker, but I'm afraid I've got to, because Aurovita's interests are being pursued by the National Party, by Judith Collins on behalf of the National Party, as a minister, going overseas and promoting the interests of Aurovita, which will make Aurovita a wealthier company because it will improve their sales. That's why Aurovita wanted Judith Collins to endorse their products, and that's why Aurovita skited about the fact that a minister of the New Zealand government endorsed their products. Mr. Speaker, that was for the benefit of the big end of town. There can never be a clearer example. It was the benefit of Aurovita, it was for the benefit of the National Party, who got a $56,000 donation, and it was benefit for Judith Collins' own family, her husband being a director of the company. Mr. Speaker, under the government, the current government, you get them acting for the bigger end of town while everyone else is flatlining or going backwards. Under the Labour government, you'll get an economy that works for everyone and everyone will get their fair share.
Dr. Russell Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.